Have you ever wondered what the number one skill of an entrepreneur is? What if I gave you 5? All right, well, if you stick with me here, I'll share you my most important one that I like that has helped skyrocket my own business and can help you skyrocket your own as well. All right, so number 1, know your numbers. This is a skill that many entrepreneurs ignore, yet the most successful ones get it. And I mean, not just numbers, in the sense of what's my income coming in, right? I mean, you know your numbers, like you know your expenses, you know what's coming out, you know your marketing numbers, you know your sales numbers, you know everything, right? Everything, if you want to improve anything in your life, and this is true in your business as well, you need to track it. Whatever you measure will improve and grow. Whatever you put your focus towards will improve and grow. But whatever you ignore will leave you, right? It's just like if you brush your teeth, if you're always focusing on that, like I want to keep my teeth, brush them, right? If you want to keep your relationship with your spouse, pay attention to them, right? Don't ignore them. If you ignore your spouse, you'll lose them. If you ignore your teeth, you'll lose them. If you ignore your money, you ignore your sales, you'll lose them too. So you got to know your numbers. A great book that I recommend that everybody should get as an entrepreneur, whether you're just started or you're already into it, is Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Great book to help you really understand how to pay yourself first and then figure out what expenses and what money you have to function in your business. Fantastic book, because I'll tell you that one of the number one mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they pay themselves last. Listen, if you're the CEO of your business, just like any CEO we hear in the media and they get blasted for it, is that CEOs should get paid. If you're the owner and the CEO, you should get paid too. So you gotta know your numbers. Be sure you're tracking them, using QuickBooks and using things like that, tracking the money that's coming in, the money that's going out. Don't just do this once a year when it comes to tax time. Track this, I would say weekly. Every week, I track my numbers within the profit of my business, the revenue coming in, and how much cash we're keeping in our accounts, and I share it with my whole team. I let the whole team see what's going on. Because hey, numbers tell a story, and if the story starts looking kind of sad, I'm accountable to it. They're seeing it too, right? So it's good to have that accountability. So know your numbers, follow them, track them, and then do whatever you can to improve on those numbers. So that's the number 1 skill. Number 2, sales skills. No matter how much you might hate it, sales is a part of it. Now sales, I don't mean like the old stuffy, plaid suit, used auto salesperson, right? Like I'm not talking about the used auto salesman that you see at the dealership that you just hate and sleazy, and maybe he's got the gold chain and a low button shirt and the hair hanging out, right? Not the badger you see hey, you got us a deal here, like the whole badger from the Las Vegas commercials for the sales badger. No, you're not being a badger here. Sales is essential. What are you selling? You're selling really what you're delivering, right? What is it you're delivering? How are you providing value for those people? What are you offering to them? How are you making somebody's life better? That's really what you're selling, right? So that sales skills needs to be there. I recommend books like Covert Persuasion, great book, or Influence by Robert Cialdini. Great book that if you look at those books, they talk to you about some proven psychological ways to help be more influential. Not to be a slick salesman, not to be somebody who's trying to lie to people, but to be honest and help people understand how you can better their lives. So that's where sales skills is number 2 there. Number 3 goes right along with sales skills, which is key, which is delivering value. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this one thing. And by the way, this is not even the number 1 thing, but I want you to at least remember this one, is that dollars follow value. Dollars follow the value that you provide for other people. If you want more money, find ways to create a win-win for people. Figure out ways to give them what they want, right? If you keep finding and delivering value and giving people what they want, you will never want. Does that make sense? It's always about how you can serve them. How do you solve problems and deliver and add value in a way that they want to exchange money to have you in their life because they know that their lives are blessed and more benefited because you're in it. Whether it's be you, your service, or your product, that is what they're paying for. That's where sales skills becomes easier because you don't have to sell them something that's crap, right? You're focused on how can I serve and help you? How can I solve problems for you? And right now in the world, there are a million problems, right? So focus on how do you deliver value, what it is. In fact, never ever ask the question again, how do I make more money in my business? Stop asking that. You start asking instead, how can I create more value for more people? Focus on that. Figure out what they want. You'll get it. Number 4, and I think this one's a really important one. It was almost my number 1, but not quite, is persistence. Persistence is so important. There's a great book that I read recently It's called 3 Feet from Gold by my friends Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed. Now in that book, 3 Feet from Gold, they share real life experiences, including guys like Truant Cathy, who's the owner of Chick-fil-A, right? And many other people that are successful in business. Now we see them as being successful in where they are right now, but many of them would say things like, quote, "It only took me 10 years to become an overnight success." Think about that. It only took me 10 years to become an overnight success. If you've ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, how many of you guys have read that book? If you haven't, read it. By the way, you got a long book list by the end of this video, don't you? But Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, great book. But do you know that book was written now going on nearly 30 years? This was written back in the 90s. But when did it take off? It was years later when Robert Kiyosaki finally got on the Oprah Winfrey Show. In fact, she even told him before they went on the air, she says, "Buckle up, get ready, because your life is never going to be the same again." And it wasn't. It was right about 2001 when that book came out, or when the book was advertised on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and that's when everybody started buying it. And that's when it really, literally created a whole generation of people that were wanting to create passive income just like we teach here today. That's persistence, guys. He didn't do that overnight. That book had been out for years prior. Didn't make the bestseller list necessarily. Wasn't like this great book that everybody was just clamoring for. No. It was after he persistently kept moving forward, then that book was able to pay off down the road. I can tell you my own experience. Money Ripple's been around for now over 10 years, right? 10 years. And it's amazing to see the progress and the growth. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to quit in my business. It was so tempting. There were so many times I thought, is anybody even listening? Is anybody even paying attention? But I remembered it's not about me, it's about you. Because if I can even bless just your life, just one of you, that would be worth it, wouldn't it? If I can help bless your life like my life has been blessed, that should be worth it. That is the power of persistence. That's why you should never give up, unless really it's an idea you should give up on. But that comes back to that number 3 of, do you deliver value, right? Is it really something that's worthwhile? Keep going, don't give up. You'll find out that you will become an overnight success. It just won't be overnight. Number 5, and the most important one that you should absolutely do, is this. I've been telling you lots of stuff, but it's not just this one thing here, it's these 2 things right here. I can't wiggle my ears. I wish I could for you guys, but I'm doing this manually. Beep, beep. Okay, it's listening. Listen. This goes right back to that delivering value. It goes back to sales skills. It really goes back to helping you keep going in your business, is you need to listen. Listen to 1, the market, the people that you're serving, and then 2, your intuition. So I've learned that listening to people is key. For example, when I started, even before I started Money Ripples, I was working with another company. I was working with a company called Wealth Factory. Now, that time, Wealth Factory almost went out of business. And I remember we were trying to teach people how to get out of the rat race, yet I was in the rat race. So I stopped teaching people that, because I can't teach something I can't do. I can't teach you anything I don't do myself. I'm a horrible BSer, okay? So I started teaching people how to get resourceful, how to find money, how to free up cash flow. Because that's what I was doing in my own life. I was over $1 million in debt, trying to get creative to dig myself out of a $16,000 a month hole. So I was teaching people how to do the same thing. It created a whole new branch of our business that actually pulled our company out of the recession, out of almost bankruptcy, and thriving. It was because of that. Now later on, of course, I know people were saying like, yeah, but what about this money? Okay, we freed up all this cash. What do we do with it? Well, once I got myself out of the rat race, once I was creating passive income for myself, I started teaching people how to do the same thing. I was listening to what they were saying. It's like, hey, how about I teach you how to get out of the rat race? How do you can invest in things like real estate or whatever to create passive income right now versus waiting 30 or 40,000 years for retirement? And what happens? The market responded, right? Again, always listening to the market, and then first and foremost, listening to your intuition, your gut. I remember there's one time I had a business coach telling me, this is about the time I wanted to quit my business. I was actually going through a divorce. She said, Chris, you need to double the amount of events that you're doing for potential clients. You need to do 12 events a year, 1 a month. Now I had done 6 that year in 2015, burned me out, and not to mention I went through a divorce. I was exhausted. And I remember my intuition said, Chris, don't do 12. Even if the numbers make logical sense, don't do 12. My gut says do 3. So instead of doing double, which was up to 12, I was doing 6 that year, I did half. And you know what happened? My business doubled. Rational person would say that doesn't make sense, but it made perfect sense. Follow your gut, listen to the market, and make sure those 2 align, and your business will guarantee be a success. That is the number 1 thing you need to remember. So guys, remember, it's not just about knowing your profits. Knowing your numbers is key. Sales skills is number 2. Delivering value, persistence, and then 5 is listen to the market and your gut. you'll find out that your business can explode and do anything. Guys, if you thought this video was great, check out how to make $5,000 a month in passive income right now.